All right.
I want to talk about Jalen Brunson a little bit more. I didn't get a chance to unload what I wanted to say earlier, but I think it's fair that I've been a huge Jalen Brunson fan. I wanted him from the get when we were thinking about signing him. I was very happy when we did. Been on record saying he's the best signing since Allen Houston. I stand by that. I think
Mm-hmm.
there's a chance he could surpass Allen Houston as the best signing and of the last 20, 25 years.
Yeah.
I think Jalen Brunson still has a ceiling to meet. And what that is in regards to the most is making his teammates better, which at this point he does not do. There's not a single player on this team that I think he makes better, that he elevates, but himself. He has a tendency, and it's a bad one. And this is also on Tom Thibodeau, because if anyone's going to pull him aside and have a conversation, it's Tom Thibodeau, a guy he's known since he was 8 years old. So the responsibility is on both of them. Jalen Brunson's a grown ass man. He watches tape too. He's a gym rat. He should know that he needs to get his teammates better involved on the offensive side. Actually, set up offensive sets that looked for Grimes, that looked for Mitch in the pick and roll, that looked for Mitch in the lob, that try to find RJ Barrett to get him going. He has a great two-man game with Julius Randle, but any two-man game between those two turns into an isolation eventually. Jalen Brunson has been an unbelievable bucket, but he's been a bucket far too often than he has an assist man. And I need to see our guy be a point guard, not be a shooting guard in the point guard's body. And I think once he learns that, to be able to balance that line between finding his shot and getting guys going, we're going to hit another level. We're going to be a different team with a higher ceiling. And I hope he does it this season, especially before the playoffs start. Because if he does, we could be a really dangerous team no matter where we're seated. And I would love for us to have home court advantage on the back of Jalen Brunson, getting guys like Grimes and Obi and Mitch and Hartenstein more involved on the offensive side of the ball. The dude is just like way too often goes into the same traps as Julius Randle and just ISOs and dribbles the hell out of the ball. I just pound, 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 terrible shot clock violation, pound, 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 turnover, pound, pound, pound. It's like, dude, set up and try to find guys that are open because they're in those same spots every single time down court. The first place they get to is the most comfortable spot on the floor. Find them, get some easy going, let them get some rhythm, and then find your shot once guys have a little bit of momentum behind their offensive game. But he doesn't do that. And that's between him and the coach to set him right. And that's where my worry comes because Julius Randle's doing the same thing 3 years with Tibbs. He's still reverting to ISO, and Tibbs is letting him. So I'm worried that Jalen Brunson's not going to learn that regard. And if Tibbs don't tell him, who is?
Um, I'll say this. I do agree that I would like him to pass a little bit more at certain times. Also have mixed feelings about it. Um, I kind of mentioned earlier before that in the fourth quarter, he set up Grimes for wide open threes, and it felt premeditated. It felt very premeditated because the same thing happened twice in a row where he got to the hole, collapsed the defense. Grimes was open on like the right elbow, and Grimes clanked, I think 2 or 3 open threes with the game on the
Fourth.
line. Huh?
In the fourth, yeah.
In the
Yeah,
fourth quarter. Okay.
he modified a little bit in the fourth. I agree.
Right. So I do feel with all the criticisms that are happening, and some of them are justified. I do feel like they made an attempt to kind of quell that today. I'll also say I think it's a stretch to say it hasn't made anybody on this team better because the team is winning more. And I also think Julius Randle would say that's not true. I also say I feel like from the minute he came in here, every person on this team has looked to Jalen Brunson as a leader, and they said that on camera. So I do feel like I have criticisms with his passing, and I don't fault you for bringing it up, Lee. I don't, because it's true. I still feel like he does need to pass a little bit more, but at the same time, I feel like some of the criticisms I see are entirely overblown to the point where it's just kind of ridiculous because, like you said, he has been the best signing we had since probably Allen Houston. And without the point guard play that we've had, whether you think it's perfect or not, we wouldn't be in this position without him here. And even me, I didn't want him here because I wanted IQ to start. And Granted, IQ starting to put things together now, but I give Brunson even. I feel like IQ has been copying a lot of his game from Brunson, and I feel like that's helped him. Like, so I understand. I definitely understand some of the criticisms. I feel like it's a little bit overblown. I hope as the year goes on, he starts to figure that part out, because it is his first year being the man on the team, highest usage rate on the team. And that stuff does take getting used to. And I still feel good about it. I still feel good about where we are as a team, where he is. And I think he's going to grow. He's a guy who's never satisfied. So I feel like he's going to get better with this team as time goes on.
May I respond?
Sure.
I agree with a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it can seem overblown if you see it a whole lot on Twitter or in the chat or or people are calling in and saying on the show. But I'm kind of looking at it in a vacuum. Like, it's just like, it's my own analysis.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not looking at other people who are watching other shows and hearing that. It's like what I'm seeing. I think his scoring output is making the team get wins, but the scoring output is not making other guys around him better. I don't see him purposely finding guys to get them going at the start of a game, like some of the great passers do, like SGA and Luka. Like, those guys look to get guys going. That's not his game. And he's more of a modern guard, and Ja's kind of the same way too. Even though Ja's a great passer, Ja's score first.
Yeah.
But by the defense that he creates, by the necessity of having to double him, triple him, trapping him, creates open opportunities for everybody else. But that's only one part of the game. You also got to run schemes. And that's where Tom Thibodeau, it's a connective tissue. Thibs has to have an offense in place that Jalen can run, that purposefully looks for guys that need self-starting off, another guy to start their offense, get them involved. And that's where it's not happening. And once he does learn that, if he does, I hope he does, we're going to take another step forward. Because now we're going to have guys that higher point per game, like Grimes and Obi and Hartenstein, and Brunson's going to be a deadlier threat that you don't know if he's going to pass for the open guy or if he's going to get his own shot, and that's going to break down the defense even further.
I agree. I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Ryan.
Yeah, I thought y'all was going to go back and forth. But yeah, I think the only thing I got to add to that is I think I agree with both of y'all in different aspects. Like, I do think at times Brunson does over dribble. And he does sometimes over dribble himself into double teams or over dribbles himself into, issues on the court where, he tries to he might try to bail himself out, pass the ball, to somebody open for three or whatever the case may be. And, sometimes, you don't really want that to be the path you want to take to, getting other players involved. Say, for example, some of the best players in the game, for example, Luka and players like that. Sometimes those type of players, what they'll do is to start a game. They'll look for their teammates to get their teammates going before they actually, start, scoring on their own and getting their buckets. And Jalen Brunson, I think, does need to grow from that aspect as well. I would like it if because I know that he's a score first point guard. And when you can get your teammates involved from early, I think that helps the game overall. As when it gets later into the game, because now you have more players in a rhythm, so that when he gets into those isolation sets, and now when he's drawing those double teams and he kicks it out to three-point shooters like Grimes, etc., they already have that rhythm because he was finding them early in the game and helping them to gain their rhythm from early, which I think would help them to knock down some of those big shots when he finds them late in games. But overall, he might ISO too much, but at the same time, he's highly effective when he ISOs.
He's really
and that's what makes him get away with it. You know what I mean? Because he's highly effective at it. So it's one of those things where it's would I like him to pass the ball more? Of course I do. But at the same time, it's I kind of give him a little bit of slack just because he's highly effective as an ISO player.
Yeah, he was cooking Robert Williams. It was some I don't know why his in and out seemed more deadly than anybody else's in and outs. God.
It was him. It was him who gave someone. It was him who gave someone the In-N-Out burger and had them go the other way, right?
Yeah. Oh my god.
That In-N-Out burger was nasty.
That In-N-Out is probably made the nastiest In-N-Out in the NBA. Yo, that dude is stop, start, and out game is ridiculous. Shout out to Jalen Brunson, man. Oh man. All right. Salute to the chat, yo. Salute to everybody rocking. If you like the show so far, hit the like and subscribe button. I'm going to touch on very light news, and then we're going to wrap it up.